Okay, let's go to course schedule and week number 3. Okay, so let it week number 3. Time flies. Okay, basic game design. So we kind of looked at Unity a little bit, and from now on, we're going to try to make simple games. Okay. Yes, obviously, first one will be super simple, but as we progress, you will use some of the game design principles. Okay. So in this class, there's going to be a lot of live demo and kind of a little bit of lecture. But so you will be given some foundation for the game development. Yet for the assignment and project, you really have to add your own creativity to make a better game. Okay, that being said, let's try to look at a little bit of game design and development history. Okay, if you're lesson 3-1, very first game in history. Okay, does anyone know what's the first video game or computer game? Anybody? Yes?
Table tennis for two.
Okay, well, we already got the answer. Okay, table tennis for two. Okay, or tennis for two. Yes?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Where's the ticking coming from?
I'm just gonna turn this down over here, if that's fine.
Okay, hold on. I didn't even realize that. And oh, I know why. Yeah, I didn't plug this, so probably it just got some static and then make that noise. Yeah. Anyways. All right. Tennis for two. That was the very first game. So the reason why I ask you is sometimes people say Pong being like first video game or some other games, but the first true computer game or / electronic game would be tennis for two. Okay, so this one right over here. Okay, we're not going to watch the whole thing. But this one will be your reference to get to know more about tennis for two. So this one talks about Pong a little bit, but it actually was tennis for two, which was the very first video game or like electronic game. I cannot find it, but at your leisure, you can definitely watch this to get more information about it. So because I'm giving you this reference, okay, I expect you to watch it for your own benefit. Okay, it's not like I'm going to give you a quiz based upon this, but it's good to know. Okay, and if you actually took GAME232, History of Game Design, you probably study about this a little bit. Okay, so try to watch this at your leisure. Okay, and then yes, because we're going to focus more on like coding in class, we're not going to watch this either. But you can definitely take a look at what would be the very first game in history. Okay, and then you can take a look at the very first video or computer / electronic game. Okay. These are kind of good information to know. All right. Then let's go to 3-2, Game Design Basic, recreating the very first game. So what we're going to do, okay, we are going to recreate this video tennis for two game. Okay, so you can actually look up and find video like this. Okay, this is tennis for two, and I'm sure this is included somewhere in my video lecture. But basically, this is what it is. Okay, it was actually an oscillator. Okay, and then they basically added this little kind of controller to control the voltage. Okay, to manipulate the movement of that little kind of ball. Okay? If you really take a look at it, I mean, it's kind of boring, or you might wonder, I mean, what? That's the game? Like, people really played it? But actually, back then, like, they really didn't have any notion of electronic game. So they thought it was very interesting and kind of new experience. Okay. All right. And what we are going to do, okay, we're going to recreate that tennis for two using Unity. Okay, so you just saw that. So probably you might think, oh, that's easy. Like, when we don't have that many features, so it wouldn't be that hard to recreate it. Yes, actually, it's very easy, very straightforward, and not that hard. And before we get into that, I want to talk about one concept. Okay, I put it here as module and modular design. Okay, so in game design, especially game design and development, okay, we are going to use this module and modular design a lot. Okay, so anyone heard about this modular design before? Anybody? Nobody? I mean, you heard like what module is, right? What is module? Anybody? Yes? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And anyone else? What would be implementation of modular design? Yes?
Rather than looking at the whole picture of the game, you
Yeah.
figure out certain mechanics and how it works.
Yes, yes, that makes sense, yes. Yes, yes, sure, yeah. Well, imagine that you have to build a house, okay? And you can design your house like from your imagination. But if you take the modular design approach, instead of design whole thing from the beginning, you will probably just focus on one little thing, module. Like, oh, I have this bathroom module I'm going to use. And I have this master bedroom module. And I have some the study module and kitchen module. You basically put them together. Okay? So in game design and development, the reason why I said we're going to use module and modular design a lot is because, okay, sometimes whenever we try to create a game, we actually look at the feature or function first. Okay? And then, let me put it this way. Like, say, when we are going to study how to recreate this tennis for two, okay, what we're going to do, we are actually going to break this down to smaller modules, such as ball movement or pedal control. Okay? And then, so this tennis for two would be result of modular design. Okay, that somebody use it. Oh, I have this pedal movement. I'm going to use it just for tennis for two, and I have this ball movement, okay, and ball bouncing mechanic. So if you put those three together, you would get tennis for two. And next game we're going to work on is 2D Pong. And then now you realize, oh, in 2D Pong, we have to control that pedal too. Okay? Then you actually think about what you already know, what you learned from tennis for two. Oh, I actually learned how to move this pedal. And I'm going to use that module for 2D Pong. And then from 2D Pong, the next one actually is breakout game. Okay? breakout game actually use similar pedal movement. So you don't have to learn new pedal movement. Instead, you actually use that module you once built. You basically tweak it a little bit to use it. And then, in this class, we're not going to look at 3D game, but we're going to look at 2D space shooter types of game. Okay? And in that game, we're going to learn how to use that bullet, creating bullet with the forward action. Okay? That could be your module. And then that module can be used in 3D game if you want to create 3D first-person shooter game. Yes, you have to add one more thing with the forward action, but still we are going to use same concept. Okay? So here, when I say this modular design, yes, instead of trying to learn this whole gigantic game development project, okay, try to focus on little things. Okay? And after all, okay, the better game developer is basically a person who learned or who developed many these smaller modules. Okay? And then even in game design and development process, if you have to create a new project, usually what's going to happen is, okay, oh, we're going to create this new game. Okay? And then always you would try to find some reference. So, oh, most likely this game is similar to this game. Okay? And then you try to figure out like how many similar modules you can use from the old game. And then you focus on new features and try to kind of create that small ones. And then sometimes it will save you a lot of time. And then you can actually, if you learn something like right, okay, you can basically recycle that concept over and over again. Okay? So here for Tennis for 2, mainly we're going to look at ball movement and paddle movement. Okay? And those will be used again and again in 2D Pong and Breakout, even for other games. Okay? So try to focus on and like try to make your own. I would recommend you to create your own like database or folder with a bunch of like a script you're going to use from now on, because oh, this is character movement, and then you can actually have that reference with your own game, and then now basically you can recycle it later if you have to create some character movement. Okay. And you will get to know this modular design again and again, okay? But this one would be kind of good concept to understand, okay, before we start. Okay, how we're going to do this. Game design basics for Tennis for 2. Again, you can basically watch all these videos to get to know how to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'll try to recreate this game in class. I might skip some of them, or I might kind of go a little faster, okay? Because I want to finish it within given time. But you can always go back to these video tutorials. And then in these video tutorials, I actually, sometimes I try to explain things twice. So it would reinforce what you learn in this class. Okay. All right. So let's start a new project with right name in 2D setting. So first, we're going to open Unity Hub. And we're going to create a new project. And this time, we are going to use 2D setting. And then we're going to name our project. I'm going to name it as Tennis for 2. So here, it's kind of hard for you to see this, but let's see whether we can see this. I named my project this way, okay? Tennis for 2. Okay. Any computer science major here, or anyone who has some computer science background? Okay. Are you familiar with this types of naming convention? Can you tell me what it is? What?
ASCII?
No.
No?
No.
Camel case?
Yeah, camel case. So camel case means, okay, 10 is for 2. Okay. So it's supposed to be something like 10 is for 2, right? But this is a kind of naming convention, and in computer, okay, actually, let me take that back. Like, it's kind of ASCII code because, okay, if you actually save your file written like this, tennis space 4 space 2, okay, in computer, they actually stored it as tennis percent 20 percent 22. Okay, that will actually store your file like this, okay, using this ASCII code. Okay. So basically, we don't want that. Like as a computer programmer, okay, we don't want that. So we came up with this convention. Okay, everything supposed to be in lowercase. Okay, tennis. But if you see this upper case, meaning there's supposed to be a space, okay? But computer doesn't like this space, so instead of using space, we are actually getting rid of that space and use uppercase, okay? Something like this. So again, these days though, because our computer has been developed and improved so much, so we no more care about this space anymore. But if you probably take some computer science class, like first thing they say would be, do not use any space in your file name. Okay? Because again, computer stores your file. If they see any space, they actually convert it to percent 20. So because it can possibly cause some confusion. Computer programmers don't want to use any space and use this camel casing naming convention. I think I have it somewhere. Maybe I didn't put I didn't put the link, but in this video I talked about that camel casing a little bit. Okay, so here this is camel case. Okay, the naming convention use it in computer programming. Okay, all right. So now, tennis for 2, I'm going to save it on my desktop, okay, and create. Okay, so now this is what you have. Compared to your 3D setting, okay, 2D setting doesn't have directional light. Okay. We assume that there's always light source on the top anyways. So in 2D setting, there is no directional light. Okay. So that's the kind of main difference. Okay. And then if you click on main camera, okay, if you remember, main camera in 3D, okay, they actually use a perspective projection, okay, but in 2D setting, they use orthographic, okay, and basically this is what main camera does. It just covers this much area, okay. So in 2D game, okay, you don't have to change settings of main camera that much, okay. But few things you can play with would be, okay, their size. Okay, now it's 5, but depending on your game, you can make it bigger or smaller. Okay, and other things, depth probably you don't have to touch it that much. Okay, and background color you can change it, but I mean that really doesn't matter, I guess. But you can change it, your background color to something else if you like to. All right. That was the first thing. And then, okay, here, as default, it created this scenes folder. And we do have sample scenes. So here, again, it would be good if you make it as your habit. So in real like game company, you would be, I mean, depending on that company culture, but like sometimes people save this as main right away. Okay. And then put this main scene inside of scenes folder. Okay, so now I have this main scene. Okay, and then sometimes if you work in a group, some people actually use version control. So version control you can use GitHub, or actually in Unity from Unity 2018, they actually improved their collaboration tool. So it actually, if you just make it as a collab, you can get all this version history here. Okay, so you don't have to worry too much about version history or version control anymore. But previously, some people use it like main v 1.0, okay, and then save, and then after they make some progress, main v 1.1 or something. Okay, that's like a kind of old way. But these days, you would have this collab, and then you can actually see all the version control or version history. Yeah, that's something we'll talk about when we get to kind of group project. But but for now, just understand that, okay, if it's your personal project, not using collab, sometimes actually people use, okay, save this as main underscore v underscore 1 underscore 0. So this means like main version 1.0. Okay, save. And they make some progress, and then they save it as main underscore v underscore 1 underscore 1 or something like that. Okay. But usually if you can like work by yourself, probably you don't want to do this. But it's good like you have some backup time to time. Okay. So for simple project, you don't have to do it. But if you have pretty complicated project, I would recommend you to save your scene time to time, so that what's going to happen in reality, you create your game and then, oh, I'm going to implement this particular feature. You try, you change the code, you change the things, then somehow Unity decides not to work anymore. Okay? Then what you can do, like Control Z to go back. Okay, so you want to undo everything. Actually, I didn't check Unity, but usually most software allow you to go back to 20 times. Okay? So if you make more than, if you want to go back more than that, okay, there's no way for you to go back if you don't have any saved file. Okay, so it's recommended for you to save your scene time to time, okay, and then make that backup. Okay. All right, and 3D interfaces and Unity 3D interfaces and feature. Okay. Okay, scene project name above the toolbar. Again, it should be review now. Okay, now I have Unity 2019. Okay, personal and main.unity, tennis for two, PC, Mac, Linux, standalone. Meaning, my scene name is main.unity. Okay, I'm using Unity 2019 1.8 as a version. Okay, and my project name is tennis for two, and this is for PC, Mac, and Linux system. There's platform. Okay, and then. Not right now, but later you will create a game for Android device. Then you go to File, go to Build Settings, and you choose Android. Then it will actually change this one to Android. Okay, but for now, it's just enough for you to understand what this name means. Okay, 2D mode. I think I already talked about that. Camera in 2D and 3D setting. Again, this will be your reference. Okay, so I'm not going to kind of show you everything, but it's good to know, okay, what would be the difference between 2D and 3D. And then here, camera overview. Okay, this is basically Unity documentation, okay, for you to kind of read to get more information about cameras. Then another link is camera class, how you can control some attributes in camera components. Okay, so now you realize, oh, there are too much information. Do I really have to know everything? My answer would be no. Okay, I guess in this discipline, how we learn is you really learn this by doing it. Okay, so this one will be your reference. You don't have to kind of know every single thing now until you actually use it. But I want you to know there are references available. Okay, so at your leisure, you can kind of tweak this thing one by one and get to know what they do. Okay, so but at this point, okay, again, I want you to understand where you can go. Okay, if you need to know more about these things. Okay. And then sprite and sprite renderer, setting a ball. So now, what we're going to do, we are going to put a ball in our game world. Okay. There's many things we can do. Okay. You can go to. Let's actually do this. We are going to put a little ball. Okay. So what we're going to do. Okay. We are going to put. Well, actually, I try to remember what I did in this video. Let's actually do this. I want you to just go to Google Image. Okay. And then what we're going to do, we are going to look at like a little box. Oops. Little box image. Okay. And for now, just 2D box. Okay. This is not what I really want to use. Okay. Okay. Let's do this 2D green box. Okay. Or 2D green square. So I'm going to get one of like this image, okay, and use it for my game, okay. So I'm going to save this on my desktop, okay. And I'm going to go over how to customize this later, but for now, I want to have just little box, okay, to use for my game. And then I'm going to put this one, my assets. So I have this image right over here. Okay. And here, if you are a neat person, okay, sometimes this is what people do. In my assets folder, I'm going to create a new folder. Right click and create a folder. Okay. And I'll name it as Sprite. Or Sprite, depending on like your naming convention. I'll name it as Sprite. Okay. And then I'm going to put this image in my asset in my Sprite folder. Okay. So now in my Sprites folder, I have this little like a green box. Okay. So here, this is a little thing you can do. Okay. Right now, probably you might think it's not necessary, okay? But organizing your assets sometimes is important, especially if you are going to create a more complicated project. Okay, so a lot of times, if you look at more experienced game developers' assets folder, you will see like bunch of folders, okay, and you will always see like scenes and sprites, and then sprites for like a graphic portion of your game, and people will have some like audio folder and some other script folder, so that people can easily find, okay, what they want to find. Okay? And now we're dealing with ball movement. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select my sprite folder and simply drag this into the scene. Okay. So you should be able to do this. Okay. If you cannot do this, that probably means when you import your image, the import setting is a little off. Okay. To check, you can select this. Okay. Okay. I'm not selecting it here. I'm selecting my image in my assets folder. Then here, inspector, you will see this green square SVG import settings. Okay. So here, if you look at the texture type, it is set as sprite, 2D and UI. Okay. Sometimes, okay, if this is something else, okay, this is something else, okay, you will get either an error or some, it will give you slightly different options. Okay. So when you import things, remember this, we are using this one as, okay, texture type as sprite, 2D and UI. Okay. All right. This is our screen size. This is our ball. This is too big. Okay. So I'm going to make it smaller. Okay. For now, I'll simply use this numeric value under transform. So here, scale 111. I'm going to use maybe 0.2, 0.2, and 0.2. It's still big. Maybe I'll use 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1. Okay. And then maybe for now, I'm going to put it at the center. Okay. So this is what I have. Okay. And then here now, it says green underscore square dot SVG. So sometimes we want to change its name. Okay. You simply select it. And here, inspector window, it will give you attributes for your game object. Here you can change its name. I'll name it as ball. Okay. And then make sure you enter. Okay. If you don't enter this, okay, sometimes it doesn't get changed. So ball, enter. And now that change has been reflected under my hierarchy window. So now you see this ball. Okay. And now let's try to draw that net and table. So I'm going to do this, okay? And then this one, I will use it as a net, okay? And then 0, 0, 0, and scale-wise, I want to probably use 0.5, well actually 0.1 and 0.5, and then put this one somewhere here, okay? This one's my net. Okay. And then I'm going to create this table. Okay. So this time what I'm going to do, I can repeat the same process, or I can actually duplicate my net. So select net, right click, right click, duplicate, okay. Change the name to table, okay. And then here you can manipulate it like 4, maybe 3.5, 0.1, and put it underneath here. Okay. So this is what I have so far. Okay. I started with this green box, and I created ball, net, and tables. Later, instead of doing this, you can actually draw something in Photoshop, in Illustrator, and bring that in. Okay. or you can get like image of like a real table and then bring that in. Okay? But I want you to understand you can manipulate all these attributes using inspector window. That's what we're doing. Okay? And now, letting the ball fall. Okay. So now, if you play this game, this is what you will see. Okay. I have ball, and I have net and table. Okay. But supposedly, this ball should move around, right? So to do that, we have to add script and other things. But let's look at the first step. Okay. This one is stationary now. We want this guy to fall down, meaning we want this guy to have some sort of physical characteristics. Okay. How can we do that? Okay. I'm going to select the ball. Okay. Actually, I'm going to move it a little high. Okay. And now, if you look at inspector window here, I have transform. Transform is responsible for its position, rotation, and scale. And now I have this sprite renderer. Okay, I'm going to explain this later. Okay, but basically this one is responsible for displaying that visual information for that game object. Okay, so we're going to come back to this guy later, but that's what it is. And now we are going to add component. Click add component and find physics 2D, click, and there is rigid body 2D. Okay, rigid body 2D. Okay. Rigid body 2D is inside of physics 2D. So what we did, again, I'm going to show you this again. I'll delete this. Okay. Add component, physics 2D, click, rigid body 2D. Okay. Now I have rigid body 2D, body type, material, mass, linear drag, angular drag, gravity scale, and collision detection, and all these things. Okay. If you want to know more about it, you can watch this video. And rigid body 2D component, click, and here you will have a more reference. Okay, over here. Okay, but again, I'm not asking you to memorize all these things. You do not have to. Okay, but what I want you to know is, I want you to use this and try to get a sense of what this guy does. Okay, in summary, I would say this is physics 2D, meaning it's dealing with something about physics. Okay, so basically, rigid body 2D allow game object to have some sort of physical characteristics, meaning physical characteristics that follows the natural law of physics. Okay? So now, I'm going to play this. Okay? If you already use it Unity, you probably know what's going to happen. Okay? So I'm going to play. It falls down. Why? Because in rigid body 2D, we do have this gravity scale. Okay? So basically, I mentioned this. I said, rigid body 2D allows game object to have the physical characteristics that follows law of physics. So by having this rigid body 2D, we can add, okay, this game object now follows law of physics with gravity scale 1. Okay? Meaning it will have that 9.8 meter per second square speed or gravity, okay, downward. Okay? Meaning you can actually manipulate this number. Okay? If you put 0, okay, as you can guess, it will just stay there because there is no gravity. Okay? Or you can change this to negative number, -1. Then it will go up. Okay? Because now the direction of gravity is actually upward. Okay. So now you probably think, oh, that's interesting, and where do I really need use it? Okay. So sometimes, let's say I'm just going to talk about this in 2D game setting. Okay. Let's say you have 2D scroller game. Okay. Your character move around and jump, right? And then there is this portion. There is this portion that allows you to jump higher. Okay. So you probably already have that game mechanism for jumping. Okay. And then the easiest way to make your character jump higher, you basically change this gravity scale to like 0.5. Then it will basically jump like twice higher. Okay. Because you already have all these game mechanics or equations, okay, for your script. But if you just manipulate this gravity scale that's adjusted on your character, if you make it half, okay, it will jump like twice higher. Okay. So you can actually like later learn how to manipulate that, like get component rigid body 2D dot the gravity scale, and you can actually manipulate that in the script. But bottom line is this rigid body 2D allows your game object to follow the law of physics. Okay. And now, probably I'm not going to add this the rigid body 2D at this point to my net and table because I want this guy to stay there. Okay. But if you want to add it, you can add. Okay. Physics 2D, rigid body 2D. But I'm going to make this gravity scale as 0 so that this guy stays there. Okay. But probably I don't have to have it. Okay. And now, okay, next step is interacting between game objects. So now, if you play this, ball just move, and then it actually doesn't interact or interfere with this net and table. Okay, that's not what we want. Okay, we want this guy kind of bounce off from the table. Okay, to do that, I'll go to ball and add one more component. Okay, physics 2D, and I'm going to use box collider. Okay, so as its name suggests, collider allows game object to be able to collide to something. Okay, so I'm going to add box collider 2D here. Okay, and now if you play it, nothing's going to happen because we haven't added box collider to our net and table. Okay, so I'm going to go to net, or this time I'm going to actually select net and table together using shift key. Okay, net, shift key down, and table. So I'm selecting two game objects, and I'm going to add physics 2D, box collider 2D to these two game objects together. Okay. So basically, I want you to know you can apply single component to multiple game object. Now, okay, they all have box collider. So when you play this, okay, they interact each other. Okay. It doesn't bounce yet, okay, but they interact each other. Okay. This one, probably you don't have to know at this point, but in game design and development, okay, we use terms such as collision detection. Okay. Collision detection basically allow us to detect any types of collision. So we are not going to do this right now, but later, okay, we are going to detect collision. Oh, if there's collision, we're going to do something. Okay, that collision detection is some vocabulary that game designers use a lot. And even before collision detection, we used to use the term proximity test. Okay, so we will try to test or measure the proximity between these two game objects. If this is less than 0, that basically means there is collision. Okay? All right. Now, making the ball bounce. Okay. So, in ideal situation, okay, we want this guy bounce like off the table, right? So we have to know how to do that. Okay. So what we're gonna do, if you look at the ball, okay, we just added this box collider. Okay, and here there is this material. Okay, so here at this point, material none, physics material 2D none. We didn't define any material for this object, so that's why it doesn't do anything. Okay? But Unity allows us to define what types of material we are going to use, or we use for this particular game object. Okay? So let's do that. I'm going to go to my SS folder, and then I'm going to click this create. Okay? Or you can do right click in SS folder and create. Okay? And now, I just mentioned that we are going to use material. Okay? So now, I want to find material. We're going to use this physics material 2D. Okay? So Unity 3D, now actually name of the software is Unity 3D. So they are now more focused on 3D. So if you look at physics material, that is for 3D. Okay? At this point, we're going to use physics material 2D. Okay? So I want you to create this physics material 2D. Okay? And now this is what you have. Okay? You can name it if you want. I will name it as tennis ball or something. Okay? Now I have this guy. Okay? And if you click tennis ball, okay, it will give you this attribute. It says tennis ball, friction, and bounciness. Okay? What does that mean? Okay? So let's try some different number. Okay, friction is at 0.4, bounciness 0. Okay? So now I'm going to go back to my ball. Okay, here, look at this material. I'm going to drag this guy into here. Okay? Or you can click this little circle. Okay? And then what's going to happen is it will look at anything you can apply here inside of your assets. Okay? So you can actually see this tennis ball physics material 2D. Okay? So you can select and it will get applied. Okay? Or again, you can simply drag it here. So now we added box collider with this particular characteristics. Friction 0.4, bounciness 0. Okay? And try to visualize what's going to happen. Okay? I'm not going to ask you, but you should be able to kind of guess what's going to happen. Friction 0.4, bounciness 0. Okay? So there is no bounciness because we set our bounciness 0. Okay? Now, I'm going to select this guy and change this number. Okay? What about friction 0, bounciness 1? Okay? And play. So, what is going to happen now is, okay, it will just bounce back, okay, to the same height, okay, forever. Because we put friction 0, meaning you all know or remember high school physics, okay, a conservation of energy. Okay? Energy will be conserved because there is no friction. Okay? Supposedly, in reality, in reality, what's going to happen is friction probably should be like 0.1, and bounciness 0.9. Okay, that probably is something in reality, meaning it will start from the height. The height will be decreased because you lose energy. Okay? by that friction, and eventually it will stop. Okay? I mean, there is a reason why we call this Unity or Unreal, these things as physics engine, because it actually mimics, okay, what really happens in this physical world. Okay? So eventually it will stop. Okay? For this game, okay, we're going to just use no friction and bounciness 1. Okay? Okay, that will conclude this part. Okay, Unity 3D interfaces and features. And now, automation using C# script. This one's kind of tricky part now. Okay, so we kind of looked at script before. Okay, so script is needed. Okay, if we want to some automate things. Okay, so technically, if you look at your game engine, okay, you can go to the ball. If you want to move this around, the idea is we are going to change its position like time to time, right? So even now, one thing you can do, you can play this. Okay? Then you can still select ball, position X. You can manipulate this using your mouse. Okay? So here, you can totally do this. Okay, go this way first. And then go this way. Ooh. Okay. Go this way. Go this way. Oh. Shoot. And shoot. So you can actually manipulate its location or position using your mouse. Okay. But obviously, in real game, I mean, we cannot do that, right? So we want Unity, okay, takes care of it, okay, by automating this feature. How? By adding the right script. Okay? Script will allow us to do some automation in our game. Okay? Now, okay, automated the ball movement. This is a very tricky part. Okay, so it's 11:27, so I'm not going to finish this today. We'll finish this on Thursday. But what I want you to do tonight, you can kind of watch this video to finish before you come in on Thursday. Then whenever I go over this on Thursday, it will be reviewed for you. Okay. But anyways, I'm going to do this. Okay. We are going to create a new script, okay, for ball. Okay. So here, ball, I'm going to add component, okay, new script. Okay. I'm going to name it as ball movement and create an add. Okay. So now, even here, okay, sometimes people, if you are a neat person, you create folder and name it as script and put this in. Okay. This one, material, usually people don't put create material folder. This one would be part of sprite because this guy is kind of attached to this ball. Okay. Anyways, now I want you to open this script. Okay. This one, okay, I'll try to explain what this is. Okay, I'm going to explain this again and again, so hopefully you will get it eventually. Okay, but let me try to explain this. Okay, so now you look at this first three lines using system.collections, using system.collections.generic, using Unity engine. Okay. So this is a C#. Okay. So C#, C or C++. Whenever you look at this programming language, on the top you will see something similar to this. In C# using system.collection, and C++ you will see include. Okay. Basically, what it means, we are going to include or use some other package, existing package. The reason why we're doing this way, okay, in this C-related programming language, okay, it comes with this package, okay. So what I usually say to explain this is, okay, let's say you are a first grader or second grader, okay. If you're a first grader, okay, your teacher asks you, okay, class, bring a crayons to the class. Then probably your parents will pack you either 12 colors or 24 colors. Okay? You don't have to use like a super detailed, like 100 colors crayon, unless you're super rich. I don't know. But you just need like 12 colors. Okay? But if you are in college, you need like colored pastel. You want to use like super details, like a pastel drawing. You probably want to bring 100 colors pastel. Okay? So here, this basically means what types of like a crayon box we are going to use basically. Okay? The reason why C-related languages does this is because, okay, to use certain function, okay, you have to load that function at the beginning of program. Okay? And then if you don't have to use these particular functions, you don't have to load it, because if you load more things, it will slow down your process. Okay? So here basically this means what types of crayon box we're going to use. Okay? Usually you will see these 3 lines. Okay? Later on, for particular the project, you might need to add one more line. Oh, this particular project, we are going to use this particular function, not from this package, but other package. Okay? But so for now, just try to understand these are packages you are going to use. So what's going to happen time to time, if you comment this out, okay? So here now, okay, mono behavior, okay? Now Unity or this compiler complaining, oh, I do not know what mono behavior. Okay. Oh wait, I thought you already know what it is. Okay. Now actually I know what it is. Okay. So meaning this particular thing is inside of Unity engine package. Okay. So sometimes it's important for you to use the right package, but usually in this class, again, like we're going to use just these 3 packages. And then time to time, we might add, we will use just a few more packages. And then obviously, I'm going to tell you what they are later. Okay. Go. So now, okay, ball movement, mono behavior, start and update. Okay. So now, what we are going to do, okay, I'll try to follow this order. Okay, get component. Okay. So the idea is, okay, look at here, get component and pushing the ball. Okay. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to push this ball, okay, using this rigid body 2D component. Rigid body 2D, I said, allows game object to follow these physical characteristics. So we can possibly add force using this rigid body. Okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to use get component. So basically, okay, again, this is a kind of probably new concept to you if you never use it programming in Unity. Okay? So we have to kind of tell this like a green box, okay, green box, okay, whenever we start the game, okay, push this box in some different direction. Okay. To do that, what we need to do is, okay, I actually want to say like something like push the green box. Okay. I want to do this, but Unity doesn't understand that. Okay? We have to use the language that Unity understands. Okay? So what we're going to do, okay, and then this is a kind of, okay, learning programming is same as learning new language, okay? Don't ask me why, like I had to say hola to like as hi, or I really don't know, but we kind of learn from the situation, right? So because, well, actually there's some like a good theory in linguistics, like that's the kind of social agreement, why we call tree a tree, because the society somehow decided, oh, that's tree, okay, right? So we have to follow that like unity way, okay? So to push this guy, okay, we have to use this rigid body 2D, because rigid body 2D contains that physical characteristics. So we can say, okay, we do have this rigid body, we're going to add force to push it, okay? So to do that, okay, this is a common technique used in Unity, okay? So steps would be, okay, okay, first step would be, okay, find the rigid body 2D, okay? This is not something you have to type, but this is my logical process. And 2 would be add force to that rigid body, 2D, okay? So here, we have to find rigid body 2D, okay? So I'm going to show you later what's going to happen if we do not have rigid body 2D, okay? So we are going to use command names get component. So here, good thing about this compiler or editor, well, in this case, editor, is whenever you type something, it will give you a choice. These choices, okay? G, and you will get tons of list. And we are going to use get component, okay? Get component. It's a singular, get component. Okay. And then there's reference here. This is get component, I believe. Okay. Get game object dot get component. Okay. And we're going to here. Okay. Do this. Where is it? Where's my Visual Studio? Oh, here. So what we are going to do, we are going to use get component. So get component allows us, okay, to find this component inside of this game object. Okay. The syntax would be get component, okay, and you are going to put the thing you like to use. I'm going to use rigid body 2D. And then curly brace, the braces open and close. Okay. So this is a command. It will allow us to, okay, find this rigid body 2D. Okay. And then I'm going to put period. Okay. And I'm going to use add force. Okay. And then when you do this, it will actually give you this syntax here. Okay, void rigid body 2D dot add force. Okay, parenthesis open vector 2D vector 2 force. Okay, so I'm going to use add force. Okay, parenthesis open, and then vector 2 basically means you need to put two numbers. Okay, here I'm going to put. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put new vector 2 parenthesis open. 200.0f, comma, minus 150.0f, okay, like something like this. Okay. And then at the end, I need to put semicolon. So actually, so this is part 1, this is part 2. I'm going to come back here next week and then explain a little more, okay? But this is something you need to have, okay? Get component, rigid body 2D, and add force, new vector 2, two numbers, okay? And then I'm going to save it, okay, and play this to see what's going to happen. So it actually pushed my ball this way. Okay. You know why? Because we put x as 200, y is minus 150. So meaning x is this direction, so 200 positive direction, y negative direction, which is downward. So here, if I put this one as positive, okay, now you should be able to visualize it. X positive direction, y positive direction. So I'm going to push it this way, but this guy has gravity scale 1. It will fall down like this. So let's see this. So it kind of push it up a little bit, okay, like this. If you want to make it a little more obvious, okay, make this number higher, 500, 300. Then more forces, so you will see it will kind of shoot out to this direction, like this. Then in the same way, if you change this one negative, okay, it will shoot out now this way, because x on the x-axis, we're giving like negative number, like this way. Now, let's kind of see one thing about this guy. Okay, so we do have this rigid body 2D, right? So without rigid body 2D, we cannot use this thing. Okay, see what's going to happen. I'm going to actually remove this thing. Remove rigid body 2D and play. I have this missing component exception. There is no rigid body 2D attached to the ball game object, but a script is trying to access it. So here in the script, I'm trying to find rigid body 2D inside of this game object, but I do not have that now. So that is why I get this error, missing component exception. Okay. So now to fix this, if you put this guy back in, add component, physics 2D, rigid body 2D, where is it? Rigid body 2D. Then now it will work. There's no more error. Okay. So now, okay, I know we only have 2 minutes, and I know you want to go home or you have to be somewhere. Okay, so now, okay, if we are going to play this game, okay, pushing the ball, random direction. Okay, so we don't want to just have like one fixed direction. Okay, so my logic would be, okay, something like, oh, I'm going to probably have like different cases. Maybe at the beginning I want to have 2 cases. Okay, if it's first case, I'm going to push it to the right direction. And then if it's a second case, I'm going to push it to left. Okay. So here I'm going to do this later. I mean on Thursday again. But we can actually think about the conditions. Okay. If, first case, okay, we're going to use this one, okay, which will push our ball to the left side. Okay. If second case, we're going to do this in the right direction. Okay. So here, I'll show you like what we can do really quick, but this is something we're going to do again on Thursday. So usually in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use random number generator. Okay. This is a typical thing that people use. Like something you can do is like a float rand, okay, equal to random.range. Okay. I'm going to put it like a negative 10.0f to 10.0f. Oops. Okay. And semicolon at the end. Okay. And then now what I'm going to do, first case. Okay. If this rand is less than 0.0f. Okay. I'm going to do this. Okay. And then here you can use else now. Okay, else. Okay. If it's not this case, okay, we're going to do. I'm going to explain this again because this is 1145. But now I create random number generator that generates from number from between -10 and 10. If it generates positive number, we're going to do this. If it generates negative number, we're going to do this. So when I save it and play this now, okay, you will see actually in some cases it will push it to this one this way. In some case it will push the other way. Okay. So now we just created that random conditions to make this game respond differently when people play this game. Okay. Anyways, we're going to talk about this again on Thursday, and then we are going to look at paddle movement to finish this game on Thursday. Okay. If you have any question, it's over. So email me, and I'll see you guys on Thursday. All right.